Part 24. The Strongest Assassin in the Server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 231. After the cute and beautiful Yoon Jian'er appeared on the screen, the two elders' eyes were widened and they looked at it eagerly. Xiao He also flew out of Ye Chen's body, and greeted Yoon Jian'er with a strange smile. Ye Chen was stunned for a moment. "You are just saying hello, no one can see you except me." Yoon Jian'er probably hadn't woken up yet, and she was in a daze when she found that there were two old people behind Ye Chen, and she couldn't help but be startled. Chen, the girl just fell asleep, did we disturb her?" Mother Ye asked. Ever since she saw Yoon Jian'er, she couldn't hold back the smile on her face. This girl was so cute and charming. "Well, my son has really good eyesight." Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Hearing this, Ye Chen explained, "No, she is in the United States now. It is already morning, and I asked her to get up. Early to bed and early to rise is good for your health." America, the two elders looked at each other in shock. On the other side, Yoon Jian'er was woken up from her sleep and had not recovered yet, so her reaction was a little slow. She heard a woman call Ye Chen and couldn't help but asked in confusion, "Ye Chen, who are the uncles and aunts behind you?" "My parents." "Well, they will also be your parents from now on," Ye Chen chuckled. "Ah!" With a high decibel scream, Ye Chen's cell phone screen went black. Mother Ye was stunned. "What's wrong?" "I guess she is shy. The little girl is very particular and is embarrassed to wear pajamas to meet her elders." "Don't worry, she will call back soon." Ye Chen smiled and waited for almost 5 minutes, and the video call rang again. "Yeah, I said she would call back soon." Ye Chen turned to the second elder and smiled, and then connected again. Yoon Jian'er had indeed tidied up her appearance. "Hello, uncle and aunt, I'm sorry just now. I was so excited when I saw you for the first time." Yoon Jian'er smiled awkwardly. It's okay, we scared you." Mother Ye responded with a smile, and then the two of them started talking. More than 10 minutes later, the phone came back to Ye Chen. Ye Chen went out and talked about some young people's topics. The two elders stayed in the house, silent, not as happy as Ye Chen imagined. By chatting with Yoon Jian'er, they realized that Yoon Jian'er was not a child from an ordinary family, while Ye Chen only had an ordinary family and was not from the right family. "When the child grows up, let's stop meddling in his affairs," Ye Xiang sighed and said to his wife. At noon the next day, Ye Chen took a long nap. When he got up, Ye's mother had already returned from closing the stall and cooked a sumptuous lunch. "Dad, are you still busy?" After Ye Chen simply washed up, he served the dinner table. "Well, your dad has been having a hard time recently. Let's not wait for him. Let's eat first. After that, I will take you somewhere." Mother Ye was cleaning up the house. She heard Ye Chen's voice and took the time to reply. Ye Chen didn't pay attention, finished eating quickly, and then followed his mother out. Ye Mama took Ye Chen on her arm and walked around the streets near her home, and then stopped in front of a conjoined building that was still under construction. Chen, look at the 3-story building in front of you. My father and I have bought it for you. We plan to use it for your wedding." Mother Ye smiled happily, then restrained herself and said silently, "But that girl is from the city, so I'm afraid she won't want to settle here." Ye Chen was shocked. Even in his previous life, he didn't know that his parents bought him a building without telling him. He knew his parents' situation very well, and he didn't know how hard it was to buy this house. When he thought of this, Ye Chen was so moved that he didn't know what to say. "Son, I want to ask you seriously, how far are you and that girl?" "Are both parties serious?" Mother Ye asked. "If you are planning to get married, and if the girl doesn't want to live here, let's just leave this place. The house is sold. Don't sell it. When the house is built, you and your dad can move in. Don't squeeze into that small place," Ye Chen said. Silly boy, this house was bought for you. Your dad and I are old and we don't need to live in such a big house. Mother Ye felt Yechen's filial piety, smiled immediately, and poked Yechen cheerfully. For it. You should enjoy happiness when you are old. Many people say that my father has a good life. Now I feel that they are really right. Not only did he marry a good wife like you, but more importantly, he also gave birth to me. Such a good son. Yechen laughed loudly. Mom, you too can live in peace. My son has grown up and made a lot of money. He can afford a bigger house. Yes, mother was so moved when she heard this that she shed tears. However, she completely misunderstood and thought that Yechen was being filial and was deliberately telling her lies. However, she didn't know that what Yechen said was true. Mom, give me their phone number. Yechen said suddenly. Yes, mother also looked confused, but she also found the phone number. Yechen dialed the number and said, "Hello, I am Mr. Yesyong's son. He bought a house here. I think." Before Yechen finished speaking, the other party had heard some clues and said hurriedly, "I'm sorry, Mr. Ye, your father has already paid and the contract has been signed. I'm afraid it wouldn't be good to regret it now, right?" "I didn't regret it. I wanted to buy another one." "Ah. That's it, okay, okay." The other party was overjoyed. So Yechen booked another suite, and the two suites were next to each other. Houses in the countryside are cheap. A 3-story building costs only a few $100,000, which for Yechen, is nothing. "Mom, can you and Dad live in peace now?" Yechen looked at his mother who was already confused, smiled, pointed to the house in front and said, "From now on, you two elders will live in this building, and I will live in that building when I come back." "Well, I have already told them, let them open up the halls on the first floor of the two suites to make it easier for people to visit each other." "Son, are you crazy?" Mother Ye's face turned pale in shock, and she raised her hand to touch Yechen's forehead. Yechen chuckled, took out his mobile phone, opened his bank account and handed it to his mother. "Mom, count the numbers to see if I'm crazy." Mother Ye looked at the large series of numbers and was shocked. She really started counting and finally said in shock, "Son, you called me before and said you dropped out of school. What on earth did you do? How did you make so much money all of a sudden?" "Darling, it's tens of millions. Your dad and I have never seen it before. Let's go, let's talk about it when we get back." Yechen smiled and said, "Anyway, my son is now successful, and you two elders won't have to work so hard in the future. It's time to play mahjong, and it's time to go fishing." Yechen knew that Ye's mother liked to play mahjong, while his father Yesyong's biggest hobby besides smoking and drinking was fishing. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 232. Mom and Dad, I'll go first. I'll bring Qian back to see you during the Chinese New Year. 3 days later, Yechen said goodbye to his parents and chartered a car back to the Seaview Villa. For 3 days, Yechen went to the breakfast shop to help in the morning and went fishing with his father in the afternoon. He lived a leisurely life and completely cleansed his soul. Filial piety comes first. Yechen also agrees with this sentence, and he can feel that his parents have really cared deeply for him. If he does not repay them, his heart will not be at peace. He offered to help his parents buy a house in the city, but the elders refused because they were used to living in the countryside and were getting older and did not want to start over in a strange city. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Silly son, as long as you are safe and come back often to visit when you are free, we will be satisfied. When bidding farewell, Mother Ye said with tears in her eyes as she stroked Yechen's face. Inside the car window, Yechen held the back of his head with his hands and fell asleep, silently savoring the faint sadness of parting. Next to him, Xiaohei followed his example and sat on another seat. Speaking of which, Yuchen felt that he had suddenly grown up a lot in the past 3 days. This was an indescribable kind of spiritual evolution. This is normal. Human beings are a special kind of life form. If they are overly sad or overjoyed, any huge emotions that are difficult to control in their hearts will undergo a transformation. Fortunately, Xiaohei has also grown up with him. Yachen's growth is the kind of illusory spiritual transformation, while Xiaohei's growth is a more intuitive growth in strength. Xiaohei has become smarter. He is also more lively, often running out of Yachen's body and playing around. Yachen was surprised to find that Xiaohei's maximum distance from him was more than 10 meters. After testing, the limit was exactly 20 meters. If it's in the game, although it hasn't been tested yet, it's probably 20 yards. In addition, Xiaohei also learned a skill, his own unique skill. Yachen discovered this when he was fishing with Yexiang. At that time, the father and son were competing to see who could catch more fish. In order to facilitate the distinction, Yexiang used a net to carry the fish, while Yachen used a bucket to carry the fish. So Yachen carried a bucket to fetch water to hold the fish he caught. Unexpectedly, the place where the water bank met was covered with moss and very slippery. Yachen didn't step firmly and was about to slip into the river. At this moment, his body in mid-air was controlled by an irresistible external force. The next moment, he returned to stand on the shore. As he looked, he found Xiaohei in his original place, maintaining the same position he had slipped before, and fell into the river awkwardly. Of course, Xiaohei is a shadow. It fell into the river and couldn't even splash a drop of water. He jumped up and returned to the shore in an instant, grinning at Yachen. Oh my god, what the hell is this teleportation? Yachen's eyes widened, and his jaw almost dropped to the ground. So, he was no longer in the mood to fish, and dug deeper to understand Xiaohei's new abilities. Although Xiaohei can't speak yet, he can understand Yachen's words. Yachen will ask questions and let Xiaohei nod or shake his head to answer. Xiaohei, have you evolved? It feels like you have become smarter and learned new abilities, Yachen asked. Xiaohei nodded. Can you continue to evolve? Yachen asked again. Xiaohei hesitated for a second and shook his head in embarrassment. I'm sorry, maybe I didn't say hello. As for whether you can continue to evolve, if you don't know, just nod. If you don't know, just shake your head, Yachen asked again. Xiaohei nodded. It scared me. It seems that you don't know if you can evolve, Yachen asked. So this time you evolve, in addition to being able to be 20 meters away from me and learning the teleportation skill, are there any other skills? Xiaohei shook his head again. Well, it seems that there are no new skills, Yachen asked again. In addition to using the teleportation skill on me, can you also use it on other objects? For example. Saying that, Yachen put the bucket on the ground. Can you use teleportation on this bucket? Xiaohei shook his head. Oh, it seems it can only be used on me. Last question, what is the cooling time of teleportation? 10 minutes, Yachen added. If it exceeds 10 minutes, nod, otherwise shake your head. Xiaohei nodded. 20 minutes? Nod if you exceed it, shake your head if not. Xiaohei continued to nod. 30 minutes. Xiaohei still nodded. An hour. Xiaohei was silent, not knowing whether to nod or shake his head. Oh, it's exactly an hour, right? Yachen asked with a smile. This time Xiaohei nodded decisively. Next, Yachen started fishing, while Xiaohei went into the water to catch fish. After the game, Yachen had a bucket full of fish, and he even felt like he couldn't hold it. Yexiang was completely defeated and sighed, Chen, fishing is the skill I'm most proud of. I didn't expect it to be better than, if I don't fall in love with you, it seems that you have really grown up. Yachen looked at the full bucket. There were dozens of fish in it. He had caught no more than 5 fish at most. He immediately touched his head in embarrassment and didn't know what to say. Inside the car window, Yechen thought about the interesting things that happened in the past 3 days and couldn't help but curl his lips. Now the car has reached the highway, Yechen took another nap, and when he woke up, he had already arrived at the villa. Entering the game again, Yechen immediately tested Xiaohei and found that it could indeed be separated from him by up to 20 yards. In addition, the skill of instant transfer can indeed be used in the game. Brother, you are finally back. You were not online these days, and the Hall of Fame almost took down our base in Swaken. Tank contacted Yechen immediately and complained. It's okay, they don't dare to do it when I come back, Yechen said domineeringly. Now he has grown up, in addition to strength, he also has fame and status. As long as he says a word, he can easily find foreign aid. But only defending and not attacking is not Yechen's style. He, don't mention it, you are really famous now. When we were defending the city, many players over level 20 in Kinyu City helped us defend the city. Tank laughed and said, afterwards, they even created a guild. Guess what the name of the guild is? Night God Legion. Haha, very good, get ready, in a few days we will take the Night God Legion to raid the home of the Hall of Fame. Yechen smiled and hung up the voice, then teleported to Kinyu City, first scanning the fire boss in the Flame Mountain. Then, he went to the Death Forest. In the third level monster area of the Death Forest, an unusually thick tree was found. Yechen reached out to touch the trunk, and a magical ripple appeared, and then Yechen's palm penetrated it. Yechen smiled and walked directly in. There was a tree hole less than 2 square meters inside, but it was hidden and could not be seen from the outside. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 233. There is another magic circle in the tree hole. This magic circle leads to the underground world. To activate this magic circle, you must disarm. Change clothes. Break the martial arts. Yechen directly changed to a garbage dagger, and then broke it, and continued to activate the magic circle. The next moment, a black vortex formed above the magic circle, and Yechen fell down. In a long pipe, Yechen fell straight down. In the pipe, there are countless operating instruments: saw teeth, steel wheels, spikes. Da-da-da. Yechen kept falling, and was strangled by various instruments at the same time. Sparks flew, and various injuries were dealt. Fortunately, Yechen was in a domineering body, otherwise he could not bear it at all. Self-recovery. Yechen kept taking drugs, and from time to time he took out a milk bottle out of thin air and stuffed it into his mouth to restore a lot of HP. Half a minute later, he passed the pipe and fell to the bottom, with a tightly sealed iron door in front of him. Strong attack. Yechen re-equipped the red flame dagger and hit the iron door violently. With a dull sound, the iron door opened. Ding ding ding. Just as Yechen destroyed the iron door, the siren sounded. Yechen used stealth to pass through the gate and entered the magical underground world. System, you found the remains of the goblins, identification add 50. Yechen looked around and felt that he had come to an underground castle. This castle was unusually civilized. Of course, this civilization is only leading in science and technology. There are countless large houses in the castle, all made of an unknown white material. It looks very solid, with clear corners and a very three-dimensional sense. Of course, these houses feel smaller than the houses in the city on the ground. Because the owners of these houses are goblins, which are short creatures. Yechen forced open the iron door and looked back. There was also a huge tree, extending directly from the underground to the ground, and there was no end in sight. This is a magic tree, the only passage between the ground and the underground. The Goblin Ruins is a world created by the goblins. Because of their brains and technology, this world is very prosperous and civilized, but compared to the world on Earth, they are still very lacking in resources. Because of this, the goblins occasionally need to go to the world on Earth to hunt for resources. Then the entrance to the passage is the magical magic tree. The pipes inside the magic tree are specially set up by the goblins. There are various sharp instruments on both sides, and the distance between them is very subtle and clever. The goblins are short and thin, just enough to fall safely from the terrifying pipe. There is also gravity added in the pipe, so that objects can fall straight down without deviation. Of course, if you want to go up, there are ladders, and the goblins can also go up safely. If humans, or other races, or even large beasts fall down, they will inevitably be severely strangled by the terrifying instruments. Of course, even among the goblins, there are occasionally some strong mutant individuals. They are more powerful in combat, and it will be more efficient to send them out to hunt for resources. In order to safely pass through the terrifying pipe, they will wear high-density alloy armor. That kind of awesome equipment can completely withstand the strangulation of the machine. Yachen sneaked across a piece of artificial grass and walked onto the ground paved with special materials similar to marble. Suddenly, a group of short, thin, ugly monsters that looked like goblins rushed over. They could not see Yachen in stealth, and passed by directly, then ran towards the grass and surrounded the magic tree. I heard the sirens just now. It seems that alien creatures have broken in. This group of ugly monsters are obviously goblins. They have green skin, hideous and ugly appearance, and wear sturdy and light synthetic equipment. They are obviously guards, and the weapons in their hands are either synthetic sharp cold weapons, or hot weapons such as pistols and artillery. Fantasy world is all-encompassing. In addition to traditional swords and magic, there are many hot weapons. As long as you have the ability, good materials, and technology, tanks, cannons, and battleships can be built in the end. There is no doubt that in terms of technology, the goblins are far ahead of other races. All the weapons and equipment they make have a higher foundation and better attributes. Unfortunately, goblins are hostile to all foreign races except their own kind. The person is missing. Maybe that alien has some kind of invisibility ability. The calm captain of the guard said, and put on a pair of special glasses. Yachen, who had been observing them, was startled and turned on the wind step to run away quickly, because the glasses have the ability to see through invisibility. After running for a long time, after making sure that there were no pursuers behind, Yachen breathed a sigh of relief and continued to move forward. Soon he came to the front of a white research institute. The door of the research institute was open, and all kinds of goblins in white coats came in and out. Yachen sneaked in and followed in. In an instant, a huge siren sounded in the goblin castle, similar to the sound of a radio. Warning! Warning! An alien has broken in. The alien has the ability to be invisible. Please be careful. As the broadcast sounded, the lower-level castles were in chaos, and countless goblin combat troops were patrolling the city in tanks. Only the research institute was still the same as usual, and those goblin researchers were completely immersed in their research and were completely indifferent to the outside world. This research institute has several floors. The higher the floor, the more amazing the research is. However, Yachen did not go to the higher floors, but went to the basement. The dark basement had no visibility at all. Yachen did not dare to light a torch and moved forward in the dark. Soon, he was blocked by a thick iron door. It should be here. In the darkness, Yachen touched the big iron door and smiled slightly. If he remembered correctly, there should be a secret room inside this big iron door. A respected doctor of the Goblin clan was locked in it. Of course, the doctor took the initiative to ask for it because he could not stand any disturbance. This big iron door is very thick. With Yachen's current strength, he can't break it at all, and he doesn't have a key. But he can't go in, but Xiaohe can. Before, it was useless for Xiaohe to go in, but Xiaohe has now learned instant transfer. As long as Xiaohe goes in and exchanges positions with Yechen, then. So, under Yechen's instruction, Xiaohe passed through the big iron gate and entered the secret room inside the big iron gate. The next moment, Yechen and Xiaohe exchanged positions and successfully entered the secret room. The secret room is also a research room, with light inside. Yechen looked around and felt that he had come to a fairy tale world. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 234. The secret room inside the iron door is larger than you can imagine. The floor of the secret room is covered with artificial grass carpets. Looking around, it is a piece of lush green, which is very pleasing to the eye. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. There are various shelves on both sides of the secret room, and various weapons are placed on the shelves, including cold weapons, hot weapons, and even gunpowder. In front, an old goblin in a white coat is fiddling with a steel cannon. This goblin looks very tall, the same height as humans. You should know that such a height is very rare among the goblins. Ordinary goblins are less than half the height of humans. Because of this, the various shelves, tables, and chairs in the secret room are also designed according to its needs. Yechen didn't feel awkward at all. Yechen picked up an exquisite revolver and played with it. He could hold the things in the secret room in his hand, but he couldn't use them, let alone take them away directly. But you can steal it. Goblin Revolver, M03, Purple Quality. Level 30. Attack add 109203. Effective range, 70 yards. Number of reloads, 6. Gun weapons are common to all professions. However, the hidden profession, musketeer, has skills such as fast reload and firearm proficiency, and is very handy with guns. Ordinary professions not only cannot exert the maximum power of guns, but more importantly, after the bullets are used up, they need to reload one by one. It's a pain in the ass. In other words, it's useless for Yechen to get this revolver. But even if it's useless, he still stole it. After all, it's purple equipment, and it's a weapon common to all professions. At least it can be sold for hundreds of RMB. System, you use the thief successfully, and get the goblin revolver, M03*1, proficiency add 100 points. Yechen changed to the title of the thief, a total of LV14 thief, really awesome, stole it in one go. Then, Yechen took advantage of the fact that Dr. Goblin, Byron was not paying attention here, and began to steal a lot in a short time. All kinds of high-end weapons were in his hands. Boom. Suddenly, just when Yechen was in the mood to steal, Byron finally pressed the button of the steel cannon. A fiery red round bomb burst out from the muzzle, quickly passed more than 300 yards in the air, and exploded on the sand wall specially piled up in front. Then there was another explosion, and the sand wall was blown to pieces, and the flames spread wildly and soon disappeared. Success. Haha, it finally succeeded, the magic crystal bomb, Dr. Byron screamed wildly and danced with joy. That's right, it didn't want to test the steel cannon, which was too low-end for it. What it really wanted to test was the magic crystal bomb. What is a magic crystal bomb? As the name suggests, it is a bomb made with magic crystal as the raw material. Yechen was fortunate to witness it. This is definitely the first magic crystal bomb in Dream World. You know, the magic crystal contains unimaginable energy. If it is made into a bomb, it will certainly be powerful. But it is quite difficult to make it. A slight mistake will cause it to explode. Byron is definitely a genius. He succeeded in making a magic crystal bomb for the first time. Of course, on this basis, many great goblin doctors paved the way for it at the cost of their lives, but even so, it cannot shake its reputation as a genius. If Ye Chen kills it now, there will be a high probability that the magic crystal bomb production drawings will be revealed. But Ye Chen will not do so for two reasons. First, he can't kill it. Second, and more importantly, even if he has the ability to kill Byron, he won't do it. Because Dr. Byron is a genius and an NPC who can continue to grow. If he lets it continue to study, it will have more great inventions. I believe that soon, it will be able to decompose the magic crystal and make small magic crystal bullets. For Ye Chen, it is like a treasure that can grow. The fatter it is, the more surprises you will get when you open it in the end. The purpose of Ye Chen's trip is actually to steal a steel cannon, and of course gunpowder. With a cannon and gunpowder, he can make the Hall of Fame kids kneel down and call him daddy. As for using the thief on Byron, it is not advisable, because using the thief on players, NPCs, and even monsters will also produce an attack judgment. In this case, his stealth will be broken, and he will be killed by Byron. At this time, Byron is still fiddling with his steel cannon, showing a full spirit of research. Ye Chen doesn't care, anyway, there is another steel cannon in the secret room. After a while, he came to the other cannon and started stealing. At this time, Xiao He rushed out of his body and touched Byron. It actually used the stealth on Byron, which shocked Ye Chen. Moreover, Xiao He succeeded and stole a lot of items from Byron. Unfortunately, Xiao He himself did not have an inventory, so all the stolen items fell to the ground. They were all good things. The items under Byron's feet were flashing with various colors. Huh? What's going on? In his busy schedule, Byron inadvertently glanced and found that his things had fallen to the ground inexplicably. It was stunned for a long time, and it couldn't figure out what was going on no matter how hard it tried. Finally, it kicked those things away with one foot. Ye Chen was stunned, but then he was ecstatic, rushing forward to turn on the automatic pickup and cleaning frantically. At this time, these things had been stolen by Xiao He and dropped on the ground, which meant that they were ownerless and Ye Chen could pick them up in seconds. Xiao He stole for half an hour, and Ye Chen would retreat every 5 minutes, refresh the stealth again, and then rush back to clean up the loot. He was satisfied because he had stolen everything he really needed. 3 steel cannons. Magic crystal bomb production drawings. Steel cannon, special item. Level 1. Range, 1500 yards. Durability, 100. Number of ammunition, 1. Magic crystal bomb production blueprint, special skill currently LV1. Ordinary magic crystal bomb, ordinary magic crystal 1, small iron sheet 3, beast blood *1, success rate 50%. Attribute magic crystal bomb, attribute magic crystal 1, small iron sheet 3, beast blood *1, success rate 30%. Great, I actually stole 3 steel cannons, and the blueprints were also released. Ye Chen was ecstatic. You know, cannons will reduce durability when they fire bombs. Low-level bombs consume 1 point, medium-level bombs consume 2 points, and high-level bombs consume 5 points. Magic crystal bomb consumes 10 points, and attribute magic crystal bomb consumes 20 points. When durability is consumed, the cannon is destroyed. Although it can be repaired before the durability of the cannon is consumed, most NPCs do not have the ability to repair cannons. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 235. The goblins have the technology to repair cannons, but it is almost impossible for them to help the aliens repair them. In other words, Ye Chen has no means to repair cannons now, let alone the blueprints for making cannons. And the steel cannon will consume durability every time it is used, which is equivalent to consumables. Ye Chen needs to use it sparingly now. After stealing what he wanted, Ye Chen went back to the city directly and ran to the store to buy 3 sets of small iron pieces and 1 set of beast blood. Set is the unit of measurement for consumables and materials in Dream World, 1 set equal 1000. The basic materials are in place, and now only magic crystals are missing. The market price of an ordinary magic crystal is 1.5 gold, which is equivalent to 150 yuan. It's so expensive that it makes people tremble. After the battlefield was opened, the auction houses between the 3 camps of light, darkness, and neutrality were all connected. Ye Chen opened the auction house to search for magic crystals and found that the president of the Chamber of Commerce, King Shang, sold magic crystals in groups. A group of ordinary magic crystals is 150,000 RMB, there are 10 lines on each page of the auction house, and King Shang's magic crystals in groups are enough for several pages, which is enough to show his extraordinary financial strength. Ye Chen bought 100 and began to use the drawings to make magic crystal bombs. System: congratulations on making 51 magic crystal bombs, proficiency at 5590. System: your magic crystal bomb making drawings have been upgraded, and the current level is LV2. The steel cannon consumes 10 points of durability for firing an ordinary magic crystal bomb. Ye Chen now has 3 cannons, and can only fire 30 rounds at best. And the attribute magic crystal bomb consumes 20 points of durability for firing 1 round. Attribute magic crystals are very rare and expensive. One was sold for 10 gold. Ye Chen spent money to buy 10 and finally made 3 attribute magic crystal bombs. Magic crystal bomb, purple quality / consumable attack power 5000, explosion range, 10 yards, cannon attack power 10, explosion range 6. Fire attribute magic crystal bomb, gold quality / consumable fire attribute attack power, additional burn effect, explosion range, 10 yards, cannon attack power 10, additional burn effect, explosion range 10. These magic crystal bombs can also be used barehanded, but it's too wasteful. You know, using a cannon to launch, not only the power is multiplied by 10 times, but the explosion range will also be multiplied many times. Brothers, gather in Longyang City, follow me to raid the home of the Hall of Fame. Ye Chen shouted in the guild channel, and the guild channel exploded. Ye Chen was not online these few days, and they were severely suppressed by the Hall of Fame. Now that the president said so, they were all excited. Godslayer is now a LV5 guild with 5,000 members. Soon, 5,000 people gathered in Longyang City, led by Ye Chen, assisted by the captains, and the army marched towards the guild base of the Hall of Fame. Longyang City is so popular that there are countless independent players besides them. For a moment, they looked at the mighty team of Godslayer and couldn't help but be stunned. What are they doing? Brushing boss? Not that bad. It's probably going to start a war. You don't know that Ye Chen was not online a few days ago, and the Hall of Fame severely suppressed Godslayer. Now that the boss is online, of course he has to take his brothers to get back. Awesome. Watch strongly, brothers. For a while, curious people and reporters from all walks of life followed. Even the peripheral players of Godslayer, who have exceeded 20,000, followed. The war is about to start. Of course, among so many people, there are naturally spies from the Hall of Fame. When they learned that Ye Chen wanted to attack the Hall of Fame, they immediately sent the news to Qianxingtianxia. He dares to come and fight us? Is he tired of living? Qianxingtianxia went berserk when he heard the news. You know, the battle between guilds is easy to defend and difficult to attack. After all, if one's own side dies in battle, they can be resurrected instantly in the base, and then rush out to fight again. This is an innate advantage. Their Hall of Fame is now a LV7 guild, with enough elite members of 7,000 people, and countless outsiders, at least 30,000 to 50,000. Even so, they went to fight the God Slayer, but they couldn't beat him. Now the God Slayer dares to challenge them. They are too arrogant, haha, it's like hitting a rock with an egg. If you ask me, Yeshen does have a little bit of strength, but he is too naive and doesn't know how to be patient. Boss, Yeshen is asking for trouble, you don't have to be angry at all. Originally, they were developing slowly, and maybe one day they could really threaten the status of our Hall of Fame, but he was impulsive and didn't cherish it, which is a good thing for us. Haha. Qianxingtianxia and Yechen are both presidents. Now, Yechen led people to attack them, which is a provocation to Qianxingtianxia's dignity. Because of this, he was so furious. And his main group sneered, thinking that Yechen was asking for trouble and overestimating his own abilities. No matter what, Yeshen's move seriously challenges the dignity and status of our Hall of Fame. The subordinates comforted him, but Qianxingtianxia was still angry. If other guilds follow suit, then where should our Hall of Fame be placed? Boss, what do you think? Brother Xiang asked. When they attack this time, we must not only kill them all, but also fight back. Don't think that our Hall of Fame is easy to mess with. Qianxingtianxia said solemnly, notify the group members and prepare to fight. Also tell the peripheral players that whoever kills Yeshen once will receive a bonus of 10,000 yuan. System, you discovered Luhe Town. As the system prompt sounded, Yechen led the army of god killers into Luhe Town. In this small town, Hall of Fame has a guild base. In addition to Yechen's god killers, there were countless sailors who came to watch. They just came to watch the show, God Killers vs Hall of Fame, and neither of them would help. After all, they are not that stupid to lose levels after death, but they are happy to just watch the show. Among them, there are many journalists, and they are the most excited because this is a good subject. They don't really care who wins or loses, because they can make a big deal about it no matter what. Not long after Yechen led the team forward again, he hadn't seen the Hall of Fame guild base yet, but there were already countless Hall of Fame players, roaring and rushing towards them. Haha, you God Slayers have such a small number of people, how dare you challenge our Hall of Fame? Not to mention anything else, in terms of equipment level, and the number of people in the guild, our Hall of Fame is more than double yours. Almost none of the Hall of Fame players who rushed up at this moment were wearing guild medals. This meant that they were all peripheral players who had not yet entered the guild. They are being used as cannon fodder, especially without knowing it. A miscellaneous fish is a miscellaneous fish. No matter how many people there are, it is still a miscellaneous fish. Yechen sneered and summoned a dark steel cannon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 236. The steel cannon is more than 3 yards in length, with the shiny black barrel taking up more than half of it, and the black muzzle releasing a unique ferocity. This is. For a moment, Tank, Huowu, and other people following Yechen all looked at the steel cannon in a daze. They didn't expect that Dream World actually had such a thing as a cannon, and even if it did, it would be too early to release it now, right? In fact, they were right. Cannons, gunpowder, and even magic crystal bombs are almost all items in the middle and late stages of the game. They will not be completely popular until the National War. But who made Yechen a reborn person? He went to the goblin ruins that is extremely difficult for ordinary players to imagine, and stole things belonging to the genius Dr. Byron. Searched Can on Google. This made such a terrifying thing come out ahead of schedule. So, under the eager eyes of everyone, Yechen pressed the button on the back of the steel cannon, and with a bang, a red magic crystal bomb spurted out with a strong recoil. The next second, the bomb exploded among the people in the Hall of Fame. A curtain of fire rose into the sky, and then spread wantonly, reaching a terrifying range of 100 yards. Dash. 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 For a moment, 99,000 damage appeared all over the screen. This was an absolute overflow of damage. Before a large number of players in the Hall of Fame could react, they were overwhelmed by the terrifying fire curtain and died instantly. System, you maliciously killed the player Angry Birds, your crime value add 1. Your current sin score is 1 point. System, you maliciously killed the player I Love Spicy Tiao, your crime value add 1. Your current sin score is 2 points. System, you maliciously killed the player The Strongest Loach, your crime value add 1. Your current sin value is 896 points. Yechen became a famous name in an instant, and the kill information was maxed out, finally staying at 896 points. In other words, he defeated a total of 896 players with one shot. Of course, Yechen had already activated the automatic use of honor points, and a second later his red name was wiped clean. At this time, he only had 2254 honor points left. The peripheral player group of the Hall of Fame, leaving aside those who died, the rest were suddenly confused. Hey! What's going on with this? Yechen just brought a cannon over to blast him. You monster! Now you have a cannon, why are you playing with a hammer? Afraid, there are so many of us, kill them all and grab the cannon. Nearly 1,000 people on the outside of the Hall of Fame died in the battle in an instant, and a large amount of equipment, coins, materials and other items exploded. The remaining people were in a panic, but with the large number of people and some people fanning the flames, they said they wanted to take away the cannon. In an instant, they cheered up again and rushed over with a roar. Reload. Bang bang bang. Yechen loaded the bullets one by one and then fired. The fire attribute magic crystal bomb was used to test the water before, but now the ordinary magic crystal bomb is used, the range reaches 60 yards, the damage is plus, and it is an absolute instant kill. Yechen fired 8 shots in a row, blowing up a steel cannon and killing more than 4,000 people instantly. The durability of the steel cannon was 0, and it turned into a lump of scrap iron lying limp on the ground. The cannon was completely damaged and could not be repaired. Yechen was not in a hurry to take out the other 2 cannons. He waved his hand and led the army to charge forward. For a time, the 2 armies fought fiercely together. The audience and reporters at the rear were still in shock. The Dream World cannon and gunpowder are born. This is big news, we are developed. Countless reporters looked overjoyed and took photos frantically. A few minutes later, Yechen led the team to break through the army and arrived at the guild base of Hall of Fame. Boss, be careful, Yechen has a cannon. Qianxingtianxia led 7,000 members of the guild to guard the entrance of the base. They were shocked that Yechen broke through so quickly. Not long after, some peripheral players spoke to remind them. Cannon? What cannon? Qianxingtian was startled. He had indeed heard the terrifying noise before, but he could not imagine what kind of weapon it was. After all, he couldn't believe it. It had just been 2 months since the server of Dream World had been opened, and the player level was only over 30, and there were actually cannons appearing. That's the cannon. Yechen sneered, took out a steel cannon, and responded to Qianxingtianxia with a terrifying bomb. Call out. The bomb sprayed out and exploded around Qianxingtianxia, destroying a large area in an instant. And their guild base was also damaged. You know, at this stage, almost all guild bases are low-level guild bases with only 100,000 HP. Now half of them have been destroyed in an instant, and they are crumbling. Qianxingtianxia and others were killed and returned to the guild base to resurrect. Bang! Yechen fired another cannon, directly blowing up the huge base, and countless debris fell down, forming a ruins. But before Qianxingtianxia and others who had just been resurrected had time to stand firm, they were once again submerged by falling debris, and were crushed to death again. In an instant, Qianxingtianxia and other main members lost 2 levels in a row. It feels so good. It feels so good. I have never felt so good. Crush it, what a hall of fame, a bunch of rubbish. Qianxingtianxia and all the main forces were defeated again, and the guild base was destroyed and could not be resurrected directly. Forced to return to the city to resurrect. On the other side, Tank and others had excited smiles on their faces, and the frustration of being suppressed by the Hall of Fame in the past 2 days was swept away. The Hall of Fame was directly stunned by the explosion, frustrated, angry, but helpless. What should we do? The boss is dead, should we continue to fight? What's the point of fighting? The base has been destroyed. What's the point of fighting? For a while, the peripheral members of the Hall of Fame were in chaos. After all, they were just peripheral members, not loyal enough. Now that they have suffered a defeat and heavy losses, they don't want to fight anymore, and they retreated and returned to the city. We retreat too, we can't fight. The members of the Hall of Fame Guild knew that they could not withstand the army of God Slayers and Yechen steel cannons, so they also wisely chose to retreat. Not long after, in the ruins, only the God Slayers were left. Of course, there were countless spectators and reporters behind them. Quickly clean up the spoils, and then continue to attack other bases of the Hall of Fame. If we are going to do it, we must do it thoroughly and disband the Hall of Fame at once. Yechen said domineeringly, which moved countless people present. Needless to say, the reporters rushed to take pictures, zoomed in the camera, and took several close-ups of Yechen. In addition, among the peripheral players of the God Slayer, a very small number of people changed their faces. In fact, they were all spies arranged by the Hall of Fame. When they heard the news, they hurriedly reported it to Qianxingtianxia. On the other side, at the resurrection point of Longyang City, Qianxingtianxia received the news and his nose was crooked with anger. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 237. This is too much. Yechen actually wants to destroy all the bases of our Hall of Fame and disband our guild, Qianxingtianxia roared angrily. He was already unhappy after losing 2 levels, and now he was even more angry. On the side, the core members of the Hall of Fame also gasped. Before, they did not take Yechen and the God Slayer seriously. But the other party knocked down one of their bases in an instant. Iron Cannon, too perverted, too evil. Boss, Yechen has the Iron Cannon in his hand. Are we going to sit and wait for death and be destroyed? Brother Xiang asked aggrievedly. Even he had to admit the horror of the Iron Cannon, because it was originally something in the late stage of the game, and now they are using it in the early stage. Of course they are afraid. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. No, according to the news from the spies, Yechen damaged a cannon midway. Although they don't know the reason, we can now assume that the steel cannon is just a consumable. Qianxingtianxia analyzed, it has an upper limit on the number of times it can be fired. Once that limit is reached, the cannon is damaged. And Yechen definitely does not have the ability to mass produce such cannons now, otherwise, why doesn't he distribute more cannons to his men? Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up and said one after another, yes, boss, your analysis makes sense. Yechen definitely does not have the ability to mass produce cannons, and he doesn't have many cannons now. Well, even so, we have to be careful. Our Hall of Fame has no other bases in Longyang City. Yechen will definitely turn to attack the base in Kinyu City. Notify them and make preparations. Qianxingtianxia gave an order, and the main forces began to act. On the other side, the ruins of Luhe town. Yechen called Xiaomao over alone. Xiaomao, you stay here later, buy land in Luhe town, and create a base. Before, he killed more than 4,000 people with steel cannons, and his honor points were automatically consumed, but his sin points were still more than 2,000 points. becoming a super red name. In the red name state, he could not teleport to the main city. So at this time, creating a base in Longyang City would bring him great convenience. At the same time, it would also be convenient for other people in the guild. Okay, brother Yechen Xiaomao nodded obediently. Yechen smiled slightly, his eyes suddenly condensed, and then he glanced around. Immediately, many people hurriedly looked away, looking sneaky. Yechen knew very well that whether it was the 5,000 people in the guild or the tens of thousands of peripheral members, there were many spies arranged by myths, halls of fame, and even other first-line guilds. This is quite normal, because he also arranged spies for myth and hall of fame. It is easy to find one or two of these spies, but it is almost impossible to find all of them. And even if you find them, the other party will quickly arrange new ones to come in. An indestructible cockroach. Yechen has seen the wind and waves now, and he is considered an old man in the world, so he doesn't care about this little thing. But now is a critical period, he still has to pay attention, so he privately chatted with Lao Ya. Lao Ya, I will give you a steel cannon and 8 magic crystal bombs now. Later, I will lead the army to attack the base of the Hall of Fame in Taiping Town, and you will act alone to attack their other base. Lao Ya's eyes flickered when he heard this. As an old man in the world, he understood Yechen's intention in an instant. At that moment, he admired Yechen even more. Don't worry, Captain, leave this to me. Lao Ya nodded excitedly. He knew that Yechen gave this matter to him out of absolute trust in him, and he was immediately moved. Of course, Yechen trusted Tank, Huowu, Fatty, and others more than him. But Tank and Huowu were too famous, and they would be noticed by spies. And Lao Ya was quite strong, but not yet famous. More importantly, he was also a thief. Well, report to me at any time. Yechen nodded secretly and traded the steel cannon with only 80 durability left, along with 8 ordinary magic crystal bombs, to Lao Ya. After the transaction, Lao Ya disappeared in stealth. Yechen was very satisfied with this. He looked around and saw that the spoils were almost cleaned up, so he shouted at the top of his voice, all members of the guild return to the Snow Village base. Outlying members return to Kinyu City. Everyone follow me to Taiping Town to attack the guild base of the Hall of Fame. After that, everyone started to act, and the spies of the Hall of Fame immediately sent the news to Jian Xingtian. I received the news. Yechen is preparing to attack our base in Taiping Town. Give orders to everyone to block all intersections in Taiping Town, Jian Xingtian shouted. He knew that the steel cannon was extremely powerful, and almost 2 shots could blow up the base. This was too terrifying, so he planned to intercept Yechen from the outside. In less than half an hour, Yechen brought his army to Taiping Town and had a gunfight with the Hall of Fame. Archers keep an eye on Yechen. He has a cannon, and he must not be allowed to sneak in. Jian Xingtianxia's voice came from the back. It was obvious that he was scared by the cannon, and he actually hid behind the army and didn't dare to show his head. Haha, Jian Xingtianxia, are you scared to pee your pants? You don't dare to come out. What a coward, the soldiers are all incompetent, and the generals are all incompetent. Jian Xingtianxia, why don't you come out and say something? Yeah, let's see if your pants are wet. Hall of Fame, look at your president's bear-like appearance, you are willing to follow this coward. For a while, Yechen, Tank, and others laughed loudly. On the other side, not only Jian Xingtian was angry, but his subordinates were also ashamed. Elite players were better, because they were bound by the contract, at least on the surface, they were still relatively loyal. The peripheral players were ridiculed by Yechen and others, and they felt a little unhappy. At this moment, Jian Xingtian struggled in his heart, and he was a little embarrassed. He knew that if he didn't stand out, at least half of the peripheral players would leave. But if he stood out, he would probably be killed instantly by Yechen's cannon. After struggling for a few seconds, Qian Xingtian rushed out again. Who is a coward, otherwise? Boom. Qian Xingtian said halfway, and Ye Chen took out the cannon and fired a shot, blowing him away. Not only that, but also the hundreds of people next to him were flattened in an instant. Typing Town, Hall of Fame Guild Base. Qian Xingtianxia was resurrected, feeling aggrieved. At this moment, he suddenly received an alarm that the base was attacked. The members of the Hall of Fame Guild were collectively stunned. Ye Shen and the others were here. Who was attacking the base? In the end, Qian Xingtianxia was the first to react. Feint to the east and attack in the west. Damn, I should have thought of it earlier. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 238. Qian Xingtianxia was shocked and angry. In fact, it was just a very simple tactic. However, he relied too much on the intelligence of the spies, which led to another wave of tricks by Ye Chen. Just as he was thinking, the base alarm sounded again, and then there was a system prompt that the base was blown up. There is no doubt that it is still the steel cannon, 1 shot, 2 shots to solve the problem. At this point, the Hall of Fame only has the last 2 bases left. Qian Xingtianxia is in trouble. The person who blew up the base with the cannon is obviously Ye Shen's confidant. He blew up 1 base and must be heading to the next base now. Send someone to guard it? I am afraid that my side cannot withstand the army led by Ye Shen. If I don't defend it, the remaining base will be destroyed again. Boss, what should we do now? Brother Xiang and other main forces were also panicking. There is no doubt that this incident is the biggest crisis encountered by the Hall of Fame since its founding. It has even reached the point where the guild is forced to disband. Of course, the disbanded guilds can be re-established. Even if the original ID cannot be used, they can use representatives such as Hall of Fame 2 and Celebrity Club. But in that case, their reputation and status will inevitably plummet. It is almost certain that they will withdraw from the top 10 guilds in the Chinese theater. If this is the result, not only Qian Xingtianxia can't bear it, but the king of Shang will also be furious. The king of Shang's ambition is so great that the Merchant Alliance he rules is the strongest guild in the Chinese theater. The Merchant Alliance sits in the neutral camp, controlling the market trend in the game while grasping the lifeline of the light and dark camps fighting each other. The neutral camp is a very special camp. They believe in freedom. Players in the neutral camp can freely choose to help the light camp or the dark camp according to their own wishes. The alliance of the neutral camp often receives commission tasks from the other 2 camps, and players can also improve their military ranks by completing tasks. As the leader of the Chinese war zone, the Merchant Alliance is not in the light and dark camps, but in the neutral camp, which is very scary. The initiative is always in the hands of the Merchant King. Whichever camp he chooses to help, that camp will get a great help. What's more, among the top 10 guilds, 2 of them are branches of the Merchant Alliance. 1 light and 1 dark, both are puppets of the Merchant King. The Merchant King has made such a painstaking layout, which must be for the purpose of unifying the world and completing the world's hegemony. Now the battle of the camps has just started. If the Hall of Fame lies down now, you can imagine what kind of expression the Merchant King will have. This battle cannot be escaped or avoided. In this case, it is not appropriate to disperse the troops. Qian Xingtian showed a ferocious look and said, "Let that guy steal, give up that base, and swear to protect this base. Kill him." After speaking, countless people in the Hall of Fame rushed up and started a fierce fight with the God Slayer. Of course, their peripheral groups began to lose morale. They were neither bound by a contract nor joined a guild, and had no status at all. It was okay to share happiness, but not to share difficulties. For a while, many people left silently. The more the Hall of Fame fought, the lower its morale became. Seeing that the situation was not right, more peripheral players left one after another. On Ye Chen's side, many helpers joined. Shita brought people to help, and there was also the Night God Legion. As a result, the battle at the intersection of Tianping Town became more and more intense. It's time. Ye Chen had already found an opportunity to withdraw and sneaked into invisibility. At this moment, he looked at the two forces in the melee and smiled slightly. As long as he lurked in and blew up the base with 2 shots, the battle would end. Just as he was about to act, a system prompt suddenly came. System, player Shang Wang requested to add you as a friend, do you accept it? Ye Chen was slightly stunned, and then relieved. The Hall of Fame was one of Shang Wang's puppets, and it was about to be destroyed. Shang Wang would naturally receive the news. Accept. Ye Chen agreed to the friend request of the Shang Wang. He wanted to see what the Shang Wang would say now. Ye Chen, I have heard of you. It is true that heroes emerge from youth. You have achieved so much at such a young age. I admire this. After both parties added each other as friends, the Shang Wang sent a voice message immediately, and opened the conversation in the tone of a senior. Shang Wang, I have heard of your name for a long time. Ye Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. You have heard of me? That's great. I think we should be able to be friends. It's like this. Qian Xingtiangxia, the president of the Hall of Fame, is my good friend, Shang Wang said. I hope you can withdraw your troops for my sake. Give you face? Then who the hell gives me face? Ye Chen sneered and said, sorry, this is impossible. His Hall of Fame has tried to destroy me many times. Now that I have the opportunity, I will of course destroy him. What if I say that if you destroy the Hall of Fame, you will be against my Shang League? Shang Wang's voice sank, full of majesty. In his previous life, Ye Chen had no contact with people of the Shang King's level, but now he was facing a threat. Even so, Ye Chen still responded strongly, destroy it anyway. Humph, as expected, a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Ye Chen, I believe we will meet sooner or later, and when the time comes, I hope you will not regret your decision today. Shang King sneered and ended the call. Ye Chen didn't care at all. If he wanted to become the strongest, he must step over the corpses of countless strong men in front of him. He and the king of Shang will fight sooner or later, and it doesn't matter if he offends him or not. More importantly, he has been patient in the Hall of Fame for a long time, and now is the best opportunity to step on the throne. How could he miss it? At that moment, he bypassed the battle site and ran towards the base in the town. When he was away from the battle circle for a distance, many archers immediately caught up with him. These archers are all over level 30, and their eyes are as sharp as eagles. You know, although archers at level 30 do not have a large group attack skill, they have a passive skill Eagle Eye. Eagle Eye allows them to see through invisibility at all times. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The archers are also very agile. At this time, led by an archer with the ID July Fire, a team of 8 archers chased Ye Chen frantically. Raising his hand and drawing the bow, arrows cut through the sky and shot towards Ye Chen. Breaking Wuju. Ye Chen broke the dagger with his bare hands, entered the domineering state, and withstood the unpredictable attack from behind. Haha, you are the only ones who can do long-range attacks. Ye Chen sneered, took out the 1000 machine fan, and swung it casually, and golden darts flew out one by one. -1280. -1098. Ye Chen's damage was extremely terrifying. Even if the hidden weapon flow did not have Xiao Hei's amplification, it could still cause instant kills. In an instant, Ye Chen killed several people in seconds. Xiao Hei also took the initiative to rush out. Now it can keep a distance of 20 yards from Ye Chen, and it can kill the enemy easily without anyone noticing and without any defense. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 239. The people brought over by Keoliahuo were all wiped out in less than half a minute, leaving only him. He is considered a master. While attacking Yuchen, he still has enough energy to observe the direction of the battle. But he suddenly discovered that several teammates died inexplicably. This made him panic a little. Just as he was panicking, he felt a strong wind blowing above his head, and the next moment he was stunned by Xiao Hei's sap. Boomerang. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Ye Chen picked up a skill and used the dart to cut back and forth in a circle, killing Keoliahuo instantly. At this point, all 8 archers have died, dropping a lot of equipment, materials, etc. Ye Chen ran straight away without even looking, and soon he saw the guild base of Hall of Fame. In the guild base, from time to time there will be members who have died in the Hall of Fame, resurrected and come out again. When they saw Ye Chen, they rushed over like crazy, but they were too late. Thousands of yards away, Ye Chen took out the steel cannon, loaded it, boom. The magic crystal bomb flew over the head of the Hall of Fame, and finally exploded accurately on the base, dash. The huge explosion caused the movements of both sides of the melee to freeze. Hall of Famers, from Chairman Jian Xingtiangxia to elite players, all have faces full of despair. They have already experienced the power of the steel cannon. 2 cannons can solve the problem. Now Ye Chen has fired 1 cannon, and 1 more cannon will be over. In such a short few seconds, Jian Xingtiangxia felt that it was an extremely long time. He turned around and looked back, and found that countless Hall of Fame players were rushing in all directions around Ye Chen, but it was too late. Everything was coming to an end, and Jian Xingtiangxia never expected such an ending. Boom. At this moment, Ye Chen fired again, blowing up the Hall of Fame's base. It also shattered the last hope of Jian Xingtian. In a daze, Jian Xingtiangxia seemed to have aged several years. The base exploded, and his dignity, status, and reputation were all wiped out. He looked dejected. At this time, the first thing he thought of was the majestic and silent face of King Shang. Lao Ye has already destroyed the base there, so this base in Taiping Town is the last base in the Hall of Fame. As the last base was blown up by Ye Chen with a cannon, the system prompt sounded in the ears of the 7,000 members of the Hall of Fame. System, the Hall of Fame of your guild, all bases have been destroyed, and the guild has been disbanded. Countless Hall of Fame players who rushed towards Ye Chen were stunned, and immediately roared with grief and anger, and surrounded Ye Chen even more crazily. But Ye Chen still had a steel cannon in his hand, and he fired several more cannons, rolling up a curtain of fire that filled the sky, killing thousands of people instantly. Humph, the defeated general. Kill him. Ye Chen's passionate battle cry caused the battle that was already over to start again. But the Hall of Fame had obviously lost its fighting spirit and momentum, and was completely defeated. It was instantly defeated by the Godslayer Alliance. And only the winner will enjoy the glory. Godslayer vs Hall of Fame. This incident ended with the complete defeat of the Hall of Fame and the dissolution of the guild. In less than half an hour, the news spread to everyone. The Hall of Fame has retired, and next, the God Killer of the Night God will take over. Wu Xing smiled slightly when he heard the news, and didn't seem to find it strange. He said, inform members at all levels to quickly occupy the gold leveling points and boss refresh points left by the Hall of Fame. Boss, Ye Chen has a steel cannon in his hand. Do you think he will attack us? Ba Tian asked. Zuxin said, if there are enough cannons, he will definitely attack us. Now that we occupy the territory of the Hall of Fame, it is actually a test. If he dares to grab it, it means that he has enough cannons. If he dares not to grab it, then it means there are not enough cannons. However, according to the information returned by the spies, they also suffered considerable losses in the attack on the Hall of Fame. This shows that the number of cannons in Yeshen's hands is not enough. Wuxin pondered slightly, and then said, anyway, this guy Yeshen is really unlucky. First it was the Fire Phoenix, and now it's the Steel Cannon. His methods are not repetitive, and they are more ruthless every time. Yes, even if his current steel cannons are not enough, who knows if he has the ability to continue production, Forbidden Fruit said. This should not be the case. The steel cannon is obviously an item from the later stage of the game. It is absolutely impossible for Yeshen to mass produce it now. Sinless said, if I guessed correctly, he should have stolen it from somewhere. You guys don't forget, Yagami's thief has reached a very high level. Well, that's true. Forbidden Fruit nodded. According to my inference, Yeshen's cannon should be just a flash in the pan and cannot be rampant for long. So don't worry too much. Sinless said, now, we should develop ourselves first and seize boss refresh points and gold leveling points. On the other side, Yuchen left the guild affairs to Huowu, and returned to Longyang City, Luhe Town, the guild base where Mao Mao had just founded, with a super famous name. Now his sin points are so high that he himself feels in danger. Dark Night only comes once every 2 months, and it has only been more than 20 days since the last Dark Night. Yuchen doesn't dare to wait any longer. Fortunately, in Dream World, in addition to helping to defend the city during the Dark Night, you can gain honor points to offset the crime points. There is another way to offset the guilt value. In any main city, there will be at least one bright monastery, where atonement tasks are released every day. The so-called atonement task means that after you complete it, your sin value will be reduced. Of course, atonement tasks also have different levels of difficulty. The lowest atonement task is to kill nearby wild monsters to reduce sin. The higher the level of the atonement mission, the more sin points will be reduced. Of course, the mission will be more dangerous. If it dies midway, it will be over. Yuchen's sin value now exceeds 8,000, and the red name above his head has turned black. If you are hacked to death, you will be imprisoned for almost a year. In the previous life, although there were few demons like this, they did exist. But in the end, they basically all quit the world, because they were imprisoned for more than half a year, their advantages were exhausted, and their accounts were probably destroyed. It would be better to start a new one. Yechen didn't want this, so he wanted to do a good job of atonement and get rid of the red name as soon as possible. Along the way, Yuchen sneaked very carefully. Guangming Monastery is a gathering place for Hongming. Hongming does not dare to act arrogantly in the compound, otherwise, he will be targeted by the NPC sage in the courtyard. But on the periphery, there are often some bounty hunters crouching. After all, it is a red name. Killing has no sin value, and you will get at least several pieces of equipment. Such benefits are extremely tempting. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 240. Non-red name players will not generate sin value even if they actively attack red name players or even kill them. On the other hand, if red name players are provoked, they will still generate sin value even if they kill non-red name players in return. At this point, red name players are really passive, because they are already sinful, and continuing to kill people will only deepen the sin. This situation will not be alleviated until they become school-level officers. School-level officers will still be red-named if they maliciously kill people, but red-named school officers can enter the main city. As long as they don't make trouble in the main city, the NPC guards will not make things difficult. In addition, red-named school officers will also have a certain degree of probation after they die and go to jail, reducing the time they spend in jail. Even when red-named school officers are in jail, their NPC subordinates can help them do atonement tasks and offset the sin to a greater extent. So, on the basis of school level or even higher military ranks, there are knights every 2 months to brush honor value. Some great gods in the later stages of the game can easily come out even if they are red-named or even in jail. Dream World is all-encompassing, with various methods and channels. If you can't play, or even ruin your account, that's really your own problem. Of course, Ye Chen is only a second lieutenant now, and can't enjoy that kind of high-end treatment, so he needs to keep a low profile. Speaking of which, Shueshu has been active in the Dark Camp for these days, and has killed many Dark Camp players. When Shueshu kills players in the Dark Camp, Ye Chen will also increase his merits. His current merits have reached more than 3,200 points. If he gets another 1,800 points, he will become a lieutenant. It's like brushing the rank while lying down. About half an hour later, Ye Chen came to the vicinity of the Monastery of Light. But at this moment, a sharp arrow with a chill cut through the air and shot towards Ye Chen. Archer. There is no doubt that archers are the natural enemies of thieves. Ye Chen chose this profession and is destined to deal with archers frequently in the future. Fortunately, he is no longer the same as before. He just jumped slightly and stepped aside. Xiao He was also different now. He was seen rushing out of Ye Chen's body in an instant and rushed out on his own initiative. Dodged. Start a team fight, Mage Sea of Fire. A roar suddenly came from a bush more than 10 yards ahead, and then a team of 10 bounty squads rushed out. Swish. In an instant, the fire mage lit the sea of fire, forcing Ye Chen to show up. The next moment, the bounty squad found the target, charged in close combat, and the ranged team had already started to release skills. The battle started in an instant. Whenever a red name was involved, the battle came so quickly. Breaking the martial arts. Ye Chen changed to a garbage dagger, broke it alive, and then changed to a red flame dagger, sneering and rushing out. I didn't want to kill anyone anymore, but you are looking for death. Ye Chen's personality is like this. He is destined not to kill people maliciously without reason, but if the opponent attacks, he will definitely not hold back. At this moment, the Wind Step and Blood Blade were activated one after another, and finally, with an exciting war cry, Ye Chen rushed into the enemy group like lightning. At this time, Xiao He also activated the Wind Step and Blood Blade. As Ye Chen slaughtered crazily, he killed the bounty team in an instant. 10 blood balls rose one after another and rushed into Ye Chen's body, making his slightly depleted HP instantly replenished. However, what Ye Chen didn't know was that there was more than one bounty team near the Monastery of Light. It was just that this bounty team couldn't help but rush out first. That guy is Ye Chen, a newly rising god-level figure. Boss, do you want to do it? In the bushes, the other bounty team saw Ye Chen's terrifying strength and found it difficult to start for a while, so they began to discuss. Do it? Of course we have to do it. Look at his equipment. Tisk tisk, it's at least purple grade. And almost every piece of equipment has a LV3 puzzle, especially his chest armor, the texture is deep, it's probably gold equipment. A bounty captain, known as the boss, stared at Ye Chen's equipment greedily. Under such temptation, he couldn't hold back at all. Don't worry, I've heard of Ye Chen. He is indeed very powerful, but he is just a thief after all. The bounty captain encouraged, his biggest reliance is the powerful hegemony. But his hegemony seems to only last for 5 seconds, and now it has cooled down. We don't need to be afraid of him. Focus fire and kill him instantly. Okay, boss, we all listen to you. What are you waiting for? Kill them for me. The last sentence was roared out by the bounty captain. For a moment, a large number of bounty hunters rushed out from the hidden bushes. Heh, here comes another group of people who are looking for death. Ye Chen sneered and summoned Xiao Hong. Xiao Hong instantly turned from a little sparrow into a fire phoenix, and her thin beak sprayed out flames, turning the battlefield into a terrifying sea of fire. Now, Xiao Hong's various skills have been strengthened, and the fire blessing has reached LV8, increasing her and Ye Chen's fire strength by 80 points. With such a high fire strength, the intensity of the sea of fire has also increased significantly. Some bounty hunters took risks, but who knew that they would be burned to black ash in a few seconds? Wow, Ye Shen really has a fire phoenix. Ye Shen is now famous, but fame is just fame, and most players have never seen him. The only thing we know about him is some half-true and half-false rumors. For example, the rumor that he has a phoenix pet sounds so false that many people don't believe it at all. Now these unlucky bounty hunters have seen it with their own eyes, and finally believe it, but they paid the price of losing a level. Ye Shen is really full of treasures. If you kill him and all his equipment and items are exposed, you will earn at least tens of thousands of dollars. Brothers, can you still bear it? For a while, all kinds of bounty hunters looked at Ye Shen with red eyes. The game field has always been a pyramid structure. High-end players can make money with their eyes closed. And ordinary players, being self-sufficient is already very difficult. As for refugee-level players, they have neither strength nor the willingness to invest. They can't even afford to buy medicine when playing games. And these bounty hunters make money by killing red names. They are at least mid-level professional players with good strength. After a month, if everything goes well, it is not a big problem to earn a few thousand yuan. But in their eyes, Ye Shen's equipment is worth tens of thousands, it's just a mobile treasure. Since they met today, how could they not be tempted? Ye Shen was also quite annoyed. His equipment was worth tens of thousands. A black leather coat alone was worth tens of thousands, not to mention that he was wearing purple clothes, all of which were top-grade items inlaid with LV3 puzzles. More importantly, he had a precious costume that could be dropped and traded, snake wings.